Hey guys, this is a market update. We're going to look at some key dates and events happening in the near future that are going to drive the price of Bitcoin over this time frame. This box right here is the next event. This is for Bitcoin, and then for Ethereum, we have two events. The same event for Bitcoin, and then the specific merge event, which is literally right here. So crazy time, and there might be some real big volatility around this. You can see I've done some technical analysis on this chart for Ethereum. I'm going to explain that through this video. I'll leave the timestamps down in the description below if you need them. Firstly, though, we're going to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin did break out of this ascending triangle that we were looking at, which is a bullish pattern. You know, what I would say here is that a lot of the money in cryptocurrency right now really is going towards the Ethereum trade. You know, a lot of traders are trading it in different ways. They're either shorting futures and going long spot. There's lots of different trades that are happening. And so a lot of the speculation, a lot of the money is being drawn out of every other coin and going into Ethereum. And so I think if that wasn't happening, if the merge wasn't happening, you would probably have seen Bitcoin kind of a lot higher. But it is what it is. And what we're seeing is fairly weak price action. We're seeing that any rallies to try and force the price up are getting sold into quite hard. Just is what it is. These short-term traders, I guess, are speculating that we're going to get another dump for some reason. Maybe corporate earnings are going to really fall off a cliff, and that will, you know, spark some weakness in the markets generally. That's okay for them to do. I disagree. I think with fundamental news that BlackRock are making Bitcoin a Bitcoin private trust available to large institutions is just generally something that I want to be buying into and not selling. This event right here is the next meeting where we're going to get some details from the Fed. So I'll go over that now. These are really the key dates that are going to drive things for everything, all markets over the next, few weeks. So the first is August 25th to 27th, there's a meeting. There's an economic meeting that the Fed will be present at, and they'll be trying to give their guidance to the market. And so this is this box right here. Just 2-day event, and they're going to really, in my opinion, they're going to stick to their story, which is inflation is still too high. We have to carry on. I don't think they're going to change their rate policy. I think they're still going to raise in the next 2 meetings, and I don't think that's going to change because remember, the Fed are backwards looking, and they have to just go on the data that is, you know, in the past, and so they can't look forward and say, well, we think this is going to happen, because then they will change markets. They can't be seen to do that. So I think they're not going to change, and I think generally that's probably just fine. You know, the market has priced in all of these rate hikes and everything, and so if they just don't change, I think that's fairly positive overall. The next one is just a huge event, which is at the actual CPI figure on September 13th. That is before the next Fed meeting, and so this is really big as well, because this meeting right here is the only time from now until the next CPI figure that the Fed can kind of give some forward guidance and give, you know, some information to the market about what they're thinking. I think they'll just still say inflation is too high, it hasn't had its proper effect yet, and we still need to raise rates. That's absolutely fine in my opinion, because the markets are looking forward past that now. September 13th, though, is CPI. So that is the next date. And obviously, September 13th, we're getting around this date right here, which would be a completely new technical setup. And so we'll have to come to that at a later date. For now, though, with Bitcoin, what I would say is a kind of generally holding pattern, fairly bare. It doesn't look like it wants to kind of reach new highs, but I think that's because people are in the Ethereum trade, and we're looking really for it to hold support at around 23,000, 23,500, maybe even down here at kind of 23.5 is what I would hope is a solid support level here. If not, then obviously we're looking maybe down at this second support level or the longer 50-period moving average, which can be extrapolated to around here. To be honest, anything in this box right here is just a holding pattern that's probably will play out, because there aren't really any more, bigger bits of news before these kind of CPI figures. So yeah, CPI is important. I expect it to continue downward. We're seeing oil, we're seeing everything else just literally fall off a cliff. As you can see here, this is the oil price. Oil is really the main thing that feeds into everything else with inflation. This is coming down, so this is good news for inflation generally. What we will hear from the Fed, though, is do they think they have to keep raising and tightening to actually affect the job market as well? That's not great news. The best news is for CPI to come down enough from the commodity prices coming down. This would be the soft landing, right? As in no job losses, but inflation down at 2%. That's the ideal scenario. And if that happens, then happy days. If it isn't happening, then this is when the Fed's going to start coming out and saying, we're going to have to keep going until jobs are lost, which is not good. It's not good news for anyone. It's not good news for the stock market, for corporate earnings, and therefore crypto as well, because there is a correlation here. But this is good news, oil coming down, and for the, how the Fed is going to react and how much inflation is going to come down, these are the dates here. Let's look at Ethereum then, and do get your deposit bonus on Bybit. I'll leave the link in the description to a $4,000 deposit bonus. So if you make a deposit with crypto or fiat, they'll give you up to $4,000 in your futures trading accounts. If you trade futures, check that link out. There's some other links down there with deposit bonuses and everything. So looking to Ethereum though, really the two main dates, right? So we're looking at the CPI or the Jackson Hole meeting, which is this one right here. And then we're looking at the merge, right? Which is right here after years and years of waiting. Very exciting. And my technical analysis right here is that I'm thinking we are in an inverse head and shoulders pattern for ETH. This is usually a bullish pattern, and that would make sense considering all of the speculation around the merge. But what you can see on the left-hand side right here is the left shoulder, of course, and then we have the sell-off and what is a really strong area, tested 3 times support level right here, and then a huge rally. Now we get the right-hand side, which is the other green line, which is this. That's the right-hand shoulder that you would expect to find resistance at in a head and shoulders pattern. The left and the right shoulder matching up pretty well. We also have what I've drawn on here, which is a very strong, upwards channel right here. And so when you're looking at a pullback, we're looking at ETH around 1880 right now. A healthy pullback would see it down to around 1800. That would be completely normal, completely fine, and not a downturn. That would still be within the uptrend. But if we just take a little step back and say we've actually got an economic meeting here as well that is going to change things, you could, if that doesn't work out and the Fed's really bearish and for some reason the market doesn't take it well, then what I would be looking at is this level here around 1700, right? 1700 for ETH as a support level. I would consider personally that this would still be within essentially a bullish pattern and an uptrend, and I would hope that we would maybe bounce off of that. Very difficult to understand where it's going to go here because we don't know what's going to come out at this meeting, and then the merge is also very unpredictable. But you would assume that there would be some sort of massive spike up. If it did happen, probably some selling after from short-term traders as well. People that want to maybe sell out for some reason, and there's a lot of volume there. But for me, we're in a head and shoulders pattern, which is generally bullish, and that makes total sense considering the merge. And we probably will stay around this level for a while. And if we do break out, then obviously this is a bullish pattern where you do get a big breakout where that resistance here around 1900 will turn into support. But all bets are off around this date right here, which is the merge, which is very, very close. Get your deposit bonus on Bybit. If you are a trader, they'll give you up to $4,000. I'll leave that link in the description below. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.